60% of people over 60 have no money in a retirement account. The average for those who do is like $120,000. It's a couple years worth of living. We're in this situation where we've got 75 million people who don't have any money.
Welcome to the Big Money Influencers Podcast. We talk with top influencers and experts to help you navigate and prosper in your business. It's all about creating wealth, legacy, and an online presence. Here's your host, Ceanne Livingston.
Welcome back. Today I'm talking with Erik Hitzelberger. He's a real estate investor and he has a lot of great information you'll want to take notes on. Good morning, Erik. Thank you so much for coming and meeting with me today. I appreciate you.
I'm happy for the opportunity.
What do you do in your business? Tell me about yourself and what you do in your business to create wealth for yourself and for other people.
A little bit myself. I started investing in 2006 and I had a full-time job at the time. Kind of over time began acquiring properties and learning more about real estate and becoming more and more active and eventually left that job 6 years ago and started a turnkey operation. I had a lot of people who saw what I had done and how we were doing things and were interested, but they didn't have the time or the knowledge or expertise to kind of jump in. So that's how we help other people. We go out, we acquire properties and convert those into performing assets, leased properties, and then we manage them and sell them to investors who want passive income. We spend a lot of time educating people on the benefits of real estate and on passive income and legacy building and wealth building. And
awesome. What was your first, like when you first began to get into real estate, you talked about getting into the Fortune Builders coaching program. Was that something you did, like you heard a commercial and it's like, oh, I want to do that? Or what did that look like when you first began?
So when I first started, like I said, 2006, I just bought a house to flip because that's what everybody did in 2006, right? You're out flipping houses. And like I said, I had a full-time job. So I kind of bought the house, I had remodeled homes, my own home and done some work, but had never really done anything like this. But it was really easy to get into you could get 100% financing. It was really no barrier to entry. So I got in and did it as an experiment as much as anything else. And, it turned out pretty well. We made some money, used that to update my personal home, and then decided, the next year that, hey, we're going to do a couple more. And those worked well in 2007, went a little bit more into it in 2008, bought several properties, and then the bond fell out of the market.
Yep.
And, so at that point, I realized I didn't know a lot. There was a lot. And I really needed to get educated. And I had met somebody at one of the closings, a local agent who invited me to a RIA. And I've been going to that RIA ever since. Around that time, 2008, actually probably closer to 2009, Ceanne and JD were going into RIAs and making presentations and stuff like that. So I learned a lot during that meeting. I actually had, the month before they came, I had hired a mentor. I decided I needed a mentor, didn't really know about their program, hired a mentor. So I didn't join Fortune Builders right then, but, I kind of did some of their boot camps and I've been associated with it since then and joined somewhere along the lines. Regardless, certainly since 2009, have put a lot of emphasis on my own education, both in real estate and then in finance in general too.
So you mentioned the RIA, which I know what a RIA is, and
Sure.
I know that that's an amazing opportunity for someone to start hanging out with real estate investors, start learning. But can you tell me what that is so that the audience would know what that might be?
Sure. A RIA stands for Real Estate Investing Association, and there's local chapters in most cities and states. But the biggest thing about it is it's a community of like-minded people. It's a group of people who are investing, who want to learn about investing, and you're going to run into wholesalers and rehabbers and buy and hold investors and lenders and other people. But everyone there, or most people there, want to know more about real estate. They understand what you're trying to accomplish, and they can help you meet those goals. And that's what makes it so powerful, is because your family may not understand what you're trying to do. Your friends may not understand it. It is different than what the traditional kind of financial plan is. And it's different than what someone might tell you a traditional life of going and working a 9-to-5 job and going home looks like. And these are people who can celebrate your wins. They can, help you through the tough times. They can give you advice. You can do deals with them. You can, really grow as an individual, as a business owner for just the time that you put into it.
Great. So when you were talking about fortune builders, and I'm not going to stay here very long, but when you mentioned 2008, which was a pretty scary time. That actually is, I went to a conference with Preston Eli.
Okay, sure.
The Freedom Soft conference in San Diego. And that's when I got bit by the bug. But I remember sitting in a restaurant right on the beach with somebody that he had been working in the bank in lending. And it was such a hard hit for the time for people were losing their houses because of these junk loans. I guess it was just a rough time, but it was also the time that I got the bug and I'm like, I'm all into this. And actually it led me to Fortune Builders also had a boot camp where they did media. And so that's how I started getting into, web development, and which has led me to the summit. It's all from the path of coaching. It doesn't have to be Fortune Builders. It's like, it's important to have a coach, to have somebody that's going to teach you the path.
It is just the most efficient way to transfer knowledge and to learn and ask questions and grow and expedite what you're trying to do.
Absolutely. So what type of deals are you doing now? You went from, kind of what, I don't know if you called it kind of like rehabbing, buying a house and maybe
Sure.
holding a house and using it for your own property. What are you doing now?
Mostly single family and small multifamily. Still doing rehabbing. Like I said, we're primarily a turnkey investor. I acquire properties now and then for my own portfolio. It's largely where I need it to be. So I don't bother with my portfolio a lot. I mainly focus on our clients and helping them build theirs. And we do that, like I said, through single family or small multifamily.
Now, how do you get your clients? Like you're sounding like you're helping your clients with creating passive income and
Yes.
turnkey properties.
Yes.
What does that look like?
We have a lot of investors. Honestly, we have a lot of investors from California, from other areas of the country where properties are not as affordable and where they may not cash flow as well as they do here. Louisville is a solid Midwest market. We don't have we certainly have inventory challenges just like everyone else. But even in this environment, you can just about buy a property off the MLS that will cash flow. And so we do a little bit better than that. But we're able to provide returns, and honestly, a lot of people, find us on Bigger Pockets or through Fortune Builders or some other networking means. We haven't really had to spend a lot of time really advertising and marketing. We tend to find enough buyers or we have enough buyers find us. We believe we primarily sell B properties. And so B for us, because everyone has a little bit definition or a little bit different definitions, but A properties for us are ones that we buy for appreciation primarily, right? They might cash flow, maybe you're making $100 a month or something, but the primary purpose of that is some wealth building strategy that you're looking for. A C property is one that would cash flow and it may not appreciate. It may be in a little bit tougher area or lower income or whatever else. And that's, some people enjoy that. We do B, so we're looking for some cash flow and some appreciation. And in our area, what that means is $200 to $300 a month in cash flow after everything's considered. And then 3 to 4% appreciation over time is the general property that we sell. It runs around $150,000. It's a simple brick ranch. That's what most of our clients want. And because they're making a long-term investment, it's not sexy, but it's consistent. And at the end of the day, when your resident pays that off and got this free and clear home, that's kind of sexy.
Absolutely. Did you say 150K? So is that what you're looking at if you want to get involved with this type of investing and bringing that to the table?
Usually, yes. We range probably from 100 to 200. Most of it are kind of bread and butters right in the middle there.
Let's say I come and we buy a house, and then how long do I hold it for?
Ideally 10, 20 years, 30 years, whatever. I've got some of mine that I've had since probably 2008. I still have those. And what's nice is that, you don't kind of think about it, but eventually those loans get paid down or get paid off. And then, that cash flow becomes significant. Like I said, it gets nice to see that money hitting your account every month, regardless of what you do. Now it's time to enjoy it a little bit.
Yeah. And so you're making passive income off the rent. So that
Absolutely.
looks a little different than some of the other opportunities that I've been thinking, doing or talking about, like rehabbing with a flip in mind, or
Sure.
wholesaling or assignment or something different.
Right. Yes. Yeah. I mean, rehabbing and wholesaling are great if you need income today. If you need chunks of cash today, they're great strategies, and people can certainly do them and make those chunks of cash. Buy and hold, though, is just how you create wealth over time. Slow, but it's consistent, and I'm not going to say guaranteed, but it's got a high probability.
Do you run into issues with the property, like with your renters, especially right now, where a lot of places, states have moratorium on COVID because of the pandemic? Are you looking at issues with that?
It's something to be aware of, and it's something your property manager should be aware of, especially if you're investing out of state or something. You need to have somebody who's cognizant of what's going on and who understands what the laws are and what changes and what moratoriums affect, whatever. But in general, I think we evicted 2 people this year. It's a very low percentage. Even though the moratorium is going on, we're still capable of doing evictions if we need. There's rental assistance programs out there that will cover the rent for your residents for a number of months. And actually the current one, at least here in Kentucky, will do everything back to April and going forward for 3 months. Our owners are still getting paid. That's kind of the important part. And for the people it works really well for the people who are truly affected and the people who are struggling as a result.
Learn the secrets entrepreneurs can use to create wealth and legacy. Discover exactly how the top 1% are building financial success, wealth, and a legacy quickly in their business. These are the only secrets you need to create wealth and legacy when it comes to building your online presence. When you visit bigmoneyinfluencerlive.com, you will get free access to the exclusive Big Money Influencers Live Business Kit. It teaches proven secret strategies that successful entrepreneurs are using daily to create wealth and legacy in their business. Foolproof methods established business owners are using to live and build wealth and legacy. We know you're busy, so we have convenient audios which include foolproof methods established business owners use to build wealth and legacy. Easy to follow binder notes. And if you're ready to 10x your online presence or ready to take your business online, you can book a call and discover how to get started. Visit bigmoneyinfluencerlive.com. That's bigmoneyinfluencerlive.com.
It works really well for the people who are truly affected and the people who are struggling as a result. And, for people who are trying to game the system or whatever else, we're not having a problem dealing with them.
Do you have any thoughts or ideas or strategies that you'd like to share with my audience?
For people getting started, one of the challenges is, there's a lot of noise out there about prices and inventory and things like that. And to be honest, there's not a lot of macro trends that say we're going to have a drop, right? I know some people were concerned about that last April or May when a lot of homes went to forbearance, and most of those homes are now out of forbearance. So that's not an issue. Because of interest rates, we are still below, our affordability is still below normal or historical rates. So that's not a real problem either. We're going to see appreciation through the end of 21, and we'll see some in 22 and continue. So I would encourage people to get started. Don't get hung up. If you buy a rehab home for $10,000 too much, right? That's coming straight off your profit. That's a problem for you because you're selling that home in 3 months or 6 months or whatever it is, right? If you sign a wholesale contract for, $10,000 too much, that's a problem because you may not be able to close that deal then. If you buy a buy and hold for $1,000 or $2,000 or $10,000 too much, it's not really a problem. You're getting started. You're going to hold the investment for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. In that time, you're going to raise your rents. Your resident's going to pay off the home. It's an insignificant thing. So don't be afraid of it. Obviously, we don't want to do that, but be afraid of it. Don't let that stop you from getting started. People have been talking about prices for the last 5 or 6 years. Oh, it's too high. Oh, it's too high, whatever. People complained in 2017. I would love to have homes today at 2017 prices. I would love to have homes today at 2019 prices. And next year and in 2023, I guarantee we're going to be saying, I would love to have homes at 2021 prices. If the numbers work, if it supports your goal, get in there and do it and start creating that passive income.
Absolutely. It's like looking at the market right now. When you said looking at 2021 market, in a couple of years, that's going to look amazing. Like I'm looking at the market today and like, man, 2017 price, it was a buyer's market. It's way different than looking at the market today where it's a seller's market and houses are just flying off the shelf so fast in so many areas. When it comes to being in a buyer's position, like you're going to go and you want to add another home to your portfolio, what do you do? There's a lot of competition right now out there. What do you do to make yourself ahead of the game and actually have someone accept your offer?
We show up, part of it, especially in our area, but we certainly have the reputation that when we sign a contract, we're going to close. So we show up prepared to buy. And that means that we know our numbers when we go into the deal. We understand the risks associated. And once we've made that decision to move forward, we're going to close. And people know that, right? We provide proof of cash or proof of loan or whatever it is that, someone needs. But that's the biggest thing is we don't put a lot of contingencies in there and we just are prepared to move forward.
Wonderful. Thank you for answering that. Do you do coaching or are you just more like, I want to do a deal with you and I'm going to partner with you?
So we are just about to launch a coaching program on financial education. That is my biggest passion, and it's become my big passion over the past several years, really, in that I believe one of our biggest challenges in this country is that we don't teach people finance at any point in their life, right? And as a result, on a scale of 0 to 10, most people are a 1 or a 2 maybe, and Dave Ramsey and Susie Orman and whatnot will get you to a 2 or a 3. But that's fine if you're happy as an employee, if you're satisfied with something average or maybe even a little above average for kind of the rest of your life and you want to go down some traditional path. But I think that we see, if we look at baby boomers and we see, they've all had pensions, they've had 401ks, or at least the opportunity, right? The Social Security exists, and yet the average person over 60% of people over 60 have no money in a retirement account. The average for those who do is like $120,000. It's a couple years worth of living. And so we're in this situation where we've got, 75 million people who don't have any money and they will outlive their money. And it's going to be a real problem for our country as we face into that. For the rest of us, we've got an opportunity to learn and try to create something different. So I believe that the key to creating that something different is education, is to understanding what went wrong, how we can do something differently. And so that's what we're going to start doing probably in May.
Awesome. So specifically, what type of things are you going to be teaching in your program? You're welcome to share if it's your...
Yeah, no, I think the first thing is the way that we think about money, right? There's this traditional model that is advertised by brokerages, a 401k or an IRA. And the concept is that you need to take some portion of your income every month and put it and buy assets, buy particularly paper assets, stocks or bonds or funds or whatever, right? And you want to grow that to some number. And the reality is, if you want $10,000 a month, that number that you're trying to grow to is around $3.5 to $4 million. And that's a really hard thing for people to do. And then the rest of that reality is the way that you achieve the $10,000 a month is that you start selling those assets. So everything that you built, you're selling, and you create this hourglass effect where you're trying to, your goal is dying before you run out of money. Because if you didn't get to $3 million, if you got to $120,000 and you're trying to figure out how to stretch that from the time that you retire until the time you die, that's not a lot of money, $500, $1,000 a month or so. And if you have a life event, a medical issue or something like that, you're in a lot of trouble. What I want people to understand is that if our income can exceed our expenses, how many assets or liabilities we have really doesn't matter. As long as I can cover all of my bills, as long as my cash flow is positive every month, then I'm okay. And so how do I get, while we're working, got a job in that, trading time for dollars or whatever it is we're doing, right? Our income hopefully exceeds our expenses now. But when we stop, how do we get that to continue? The best way to do it is through passive income, whether that be real estate, private lending, whatever else is out there. That's the best way to accomplish that. What we're going to teach people is how to start thinking about passive income in this manner and how to start thinking about their financial future in the manner of, I need income to exceed my expenses rather than I need some huge number in my asset column. And then how do we go about creating that? And what does it look like? And today, what does it look like in 5 years and 10 years and when we retire?
Wonderful. If I was wanting to come into your coaching program, how much would I need to bring to the table? I'm a beginning and I'm really interested in creating retirement and assets so that I have something to live on when I retire.
I think our first program, what we're looking at here is one of the other things, I don't know if you've read Malcolm Gladwell and Outliers, right? And where he talks about to be an expert in something, it's 10,000 hours. That's great, but that's a significant amount of time. But if you kind of go back and look at some studies, and there was a TED talk on this actually, but to become good at something, good enough where you can self-correct and start to learn, it really takes 20 hours of dedicated learning and working and mentoring. And so we're looking at about a 20-hour program because that's what we want to do. We want to move people. Andy Tanner, part of Fortune Builders, has great programs and is an excellent mentor to a lot of people. In his book, 401 Chaos, he introduced this education continuum, right, where you go from ignorance to awareness to competency to proficiency. And that's what we want to do. We want to move people from ignorance, certainly into awareness and competency using that 20-hour concept. So we'll have, it'll be a 5-6 week course, 4 or 5 hours a week, along with some assignments and stuff like that. Because it is brand new, we're going to discount for the first group of students there. And it'll be around $2,500 for that first group.
So that first session is just kind of education. I don't necessarily have to. Some of the times I might have to. Let's say if I'm in Fortune Builders, it's like I need to buy like an LLC, and there's all kinds of things that I have to.
Yes, nothing,
get ready.
Nothing like that. No. We will discuss. Certainly we're going to spend a lot of time discussing real estate and how we can use real estate to create those passive income streams, and what those processes might look like. But no, there's no additional sales there or LLCs or anything like that to do. We'll discuss how to do it, what else, but there's nothing else along those lines.
Awesome. What I needed to prepare for the next step. That's awesome. I love it. Well, thank you for having me. Do you have your contact information or your website for your program setup?
Anybody can email me at invest@FPG-KY, FPG for Freedom Property Group, then -KY.com. You can reach out to us that way. And then, I'll just go ahead and give my cell phone. My cell phone is 502-921-3989, and I can be reached that way as well.
That program sounds awesome. Totally, absolutely needed, especially when in the younger generations.
A lot of people who probably have Social Security, they're not going to have pensions. Both of those are Social Security and pensions are passive income streams. They're not significant. There's a good chance that even that will be taken away. Maybe my generation, and certainly the ones below us. You need to have a plan. And I would much rather have a plan that I control or can influence at least significantly than one that relies on the government or, some other entity.
Even when I was a few years back when husband and I were working at he was working at Boeing, and which Boeing is a pretty significant corporation. Even then, taking cutting back on the retirement, cutting back on the pension every year as they sign another contract, things go away, even with a company like that. So it's like you really can't count on. I mean, you can to a certain extent, but you have to figure out your own passive income and ways that you're going to support yourself after you're done working while you go play. Well, thank you so much, Erik, for being with me today.
Thank you for having me. I've truly enjoyed it.
To discover the secrets entrepreneurs are using to create wealth and legacy, visit bigmoneyinfluencerslive.com. And here's a big ask. If you love this podcast, will you take a minute to subscribe, review, and give us a 5-star rating? Be sure and share with your friends and family. And thank you for listening.